Hello, I'm Catherine Sines, the president of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Rotary is a professional organization of a group of men and women who support Rotary International. We also join together by a common interest of service to our Hudson community, and we have a sincere desire to give back. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at Laurel Lake Retirement Community, 200 Laurel Lake Drive, in their dining room. We meet from 7:30 to 8:30 and would like to invite you to join us. For more information about Rotary, go to www.rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the following excerpts from one of our recent meetings and consider joining us on Wednesday morning.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Tom.
I'm Tom Tobin. I'm substituting for Ron Strobel as Sergeant of Arms. Ron should be back soon. But thank you for putting up with me. I'd like to wish a good morning to all Rotarians and guests, and welcome to this, our March 7th, 2018 meeting of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Our invocation this morning will be led by Doug McDowell, if you'll step forward.
Great.
Let us pray. As we begin our meeting this morning, let us fondly remember and celebrate the life of our dear friend, Dick Pearsall. Dick was a real gentleman, a genuine nice guy, and Dick's three loves in life were his God, his family, and his country. Let's say a prayer for Lee, David, the son, and the grandchildren as they start their new life without a father, grandfather, and husband. And let's especially think about Lee as she goes through this transition of moving to Laurel Lake and being without Dick. Amen.
Amen.
And may I have Liz Ramsey step forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and four-way test.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and friendships?
fourth,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And in the interest of efficiency, Liz, you'll also be leading us or helping us with the our singing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when James gets it ready, we're going to do a special song today in honor of Dick Pearsall.
Lead us in song, Dick Pearsall.
Perfect.
Let's start the day off optimistically. Let's sing When You're Smiling. When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. But when you're crying, then rain on the rainbow's not as sighing. Be happy again. When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. And our president, Catherine Sines.
Well, let's make an adjustment on that. I think we have Mimi Becker helping us out, filling in the role of secretary this morning. Is that right? Introducing our guests. I'm saying I'm looking at her eyes to see if I got that right. All right.
Everyone can be seated.
Welcome to our guests this morning. We have Jenny Hobbs, who is helping us with the audiovisual this month from the Hudson Service Learning program. And we have Cheryl Miyamoto from the Clock Tower Rotary, Catherine Chadwick Hope from the Clock Tower Rotary, Lucas who is our Rotary Youth Exchange student. Lucas, where are you? Oh, there you go.
Hey, Lucas.
And Madeline Orr, this is Madeline's third meeting here. And we have the speech contest contestants and their family members. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
And here's Catherine.
If I can talk, that was a little emotional.
Compose yourself.
I know, that was really emotional, sorry. Welcome, everyone, to Rotary Club of Hudson. I'd like to just thank you for being here, and one of the things I just kind of want to get your thoughts about, I know it's kind of emotional with Dick, even seeing him there was just kind of hard, but after the speech contest, when they go out to do the final judging, we're going to have a little tribute to Dick. So anybody who would like to say a few words or talk, you know, that we can talk about how wonderful he was and have a little tribute to Dick. So we don't have a lot of announcements today because of the 4-way contest, and so Jermaine Hearn is going to start the program.
Okay, welcome Rotarians, guests, speakers. Hey, looking at Dick singing, I think if we find that we have all his songs on video, we're going to make sure we have his words on the thing, rather than the words we have on.
You have to go back and change the words.
Yeah, change the words. That was always funny. That was great. Okay, I was looking to find out how old the Rotary Speech Contest is, and I have been unsuccessful so far. But one of my good friends and neighbors told me that when he was 16, he won the speech contest. So it's at least 53 years old. At least 53. So, and that's the longest I can go back and see. And it's kind of cool because since the beginning of this was actually in 1932 with a guy by the name of Herbert Taylor, who came up with, he was trying to find a way to have decisions made in his company pass an ethical test, and he came up with a 4-way test. And supposedly right now there's 500,000 business leaders that have this 4-way test on their desk, or he may be in their desk by now, but it's influenced them, which is fantastic. Our 4 finalists, 2 from Hudson High School and 2 from Western Reserve Academy, came out of a competition last week where they competed against 10 to 12 other folks from each school and came out top 2 in each. This process is going to be simple, and the speakers have already drawn their order, and they're going to 1 through 4, obviously. And they'll step up on stage, and then they're going to just jump right into their talk. I know you want to know who they are, but you're going to have to wait until after they're done. Will they have an opportunity to introduce themselves, say which school they go to, a little bit about themselves, what their extracurricular activities are, what they're interested in, maybe future plans if they have any. When all the judges are done, we'll move out of the room. As Catherine said, you're going to do some talk a little bit about Dick. Come back in. I'd ask you to, if you have cell phones, turn them off, and don't get up and leave or anything during the talk. There'll be time between and after if you need to get up. So kind of stay seated, and if your phones are off, that's great. Okay, without any further ado, number 1.
Test? Okay. Good morning. I thought I'd introduce my topic today by asking you a few questions. So, do you take ibuprofen in the morning when a headache comes on suddenly? Do you ask for a prescription for antibiotics when you just can't kick an infection? Do you ask for some sort of physical assistance, maybe crutches, when your ankle is sprained? Well, what if I asked you, do you take antidepressants? Do you take antidepressants? Wow, that changes things, doesn't it? What are your thoughts on them? Are they just another common medication? Or are they a fake elixir, completely useless to our society because they don't work? Well, whatever your opinions are on them, I ask that you listen to my perspective for a few minutes anyways. As an antidepressant user for 1 year, I wish that I could be forthright about taking my medication and not hiding it at sleepovers or gulping it down at restaurants. But it's just not the world that you or I live in. Antidepressants are so controversial that people can't even talk about them openly. And at the end of the day, I just have to ask, should they be an ethical issue or not? Let's use the Rotary four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? So are they the truth? Are these pill bottles holding remedies or placebos? So that we're on the same page, I'm going to be talking about SSRIs today, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors that block the reabsorption of serotonin in the brain. This includes common medications such as Prozac, Celexa. 50 to 65% of people who try an SSRI will see a benefit in their specific mental condition. And in the US alone, 13% of us take an SSRI daily, which means a lot of us have, do, and will see positive benefits when taking an SSRI. Since the 1950s, these drugs have displayed the verity that we need to conquer our mental disorders. Well, is it fair to all concerned? Should we even attempt to quell our minds with these substances? What if we just try something in an alternative method? Maybe to think positively. That notion, that idea of thinking positively, that is unfair. What about that sprained ankle I told you about earlier? What if I told you, you don't need to see a doctor. You just need to think positively. It'll get better. Would that be fair to you? Helpful. What isn't fair is for people to suffer without their proper medication. And in addition, it's not fair for bystanders to watch their loved ones deteriorate as well. So, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Let me present this analogy. A tree can't grow without a strong base. It can't invite animals, birds, and insects without strong branches. I think the same applies to some people with mental disorders. Even though loved ones can support their patients, they don't have the ability to change a brain's chemistry. But antidepressants can. And they have the ability to reconnect you, the friends that you've gotten out of touch with. And I don't think most trees can grow without water. And I don't think some people can obtain a social life without their antidepressant, including me. From January to September of last year, I couldn't even talk to my friends face to face. I couldn't get out of the house. Why? Because I didn't have the tool that I have today. I couldn't even imagine giving a talk to a room full of strangers about my antidepressant. And here I am. It's changed my life completely, and I am forever grateful. So, will they benefit us? Will SSRIs benefit us? Patients, mothers, fathers, doctors, co-workers, classmates, our society as a whole. Will they benefit us? Well, in the US, one person dies by suicide every 12 minutes. 50 to 65% of people who try an SSRI will see a positive benefit. Would an SSRI have saved some of these people? Well, I can't say for sure. But I do know one thing. We need to erase the chastisement, the stigma, and the hatred that comes with taking an antidepressant. We need to help ourselves with this scientific breakthrough. We can't shy away anymore. However, if we never see the outcome of more SSRI use, we will never see what that opportunity brings to our country. Thank you. All right, so a few words of about me. I'm Olivia Robinson. I am a sophomore at Western Reserve Academy. I am on the varsity cross-country team and track team, and I participate in the musical, and I love the lean-in group that we've just started at our school that's benefiting women's rights in our community. So I do not know where I want to go to school yet, and I do not know what field. I'm hoping to figure that out. Well, thank you for listening today. Thank you.
Don't worry. Go ahead, focus up there. Better than to scream it. This is the usual meeting. Okay. I'll focus on it.
Now, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I know 3 different languages outside of English. In Korean, I can say geiseki, which means son of a female dog. In Chinese, I can say tamada, which is a select word that starts with the letter F. And in Spanish, I can call someone un pedazo de mierda, or a piece of feces. Now, I don't know about you, but I've started to see a little bit of a pattern. And while it may be okay for me to say these words here in the United States, taken completely out of context, it is a completely different story when I'm practicing this speech in front of my fluent Korean-speaking friend, or my Chinese-speaking parents, for example. And they say to never make the same mistake twice. But from these instances, I have learned that context matters when it comes to what you say. And while most of us would agree that you should typically stay away from cussing and swearing in all realms, this issue of a greater context becomes infinitely more complex when you apply it to everyday communication of information. And in the age of current technology and information gathering, people are only moving away from the greater context of a situation even more. An issue that I would like to examine today using the Rotary 4-way test. First, is it the truth? Now, to deal with the 74 gigabytes of information that we consume every single day, it's only reasonable that we have to cut some of it out in order to focus on what truly needs to get done. As political scientist Herbert A. Simon says, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. Hour-long speeches are cut down into 20-second Facebook video clips, and full-out arguments are trimmed to 140 characters on Twitter. Instead of paying attention to the real-world big picture, too often we only look at the small, disconnected pieces to formulate a skewed picture of reality. With that in mind, I move on to the next question of the Rotary 4-way test. Is it fair to all concerned? Unfortunately not. We've all heard of the infamous Dean scream, the scream that effectively ended the presidential campaign of Howard Dean. Just after the 2004 Iowa caucus, Howard Dean ended his speech with a resounding, "Yeah!" which was recorded into a soundbite played over and over and over, all across the country, inciting widespread ridicule and effectively ending his presidential campaign. Instead of paying attention to the political causes that he advocated for, his political stance, people only focused in on that one resounding scream. And by stripping away the context, by stripping away the substance of his campaign, people unfairly judged this candidate. And this isn't just one issue of one person being unfairly shamed. It's an issue of an entire society of citizens who are simply unable to focus on their true substance and are only distracted by the insignificant details. We hear what we want to hear, and we ignore what we want to ignore. And this is a habit that leads to shockingly dangerous and misinformed decisions. Now, let's scale back and look at this issue of context from a more interpersonal level in order to answer the third question of the Rotary four-way test. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? In today's society, it is becoming increasingly more difficult to communicate with others of different opinions, especially when all we pay attention to are the pieces of truth that agree with our own opinions. Instead of researching a wide range of news sources and information, we often only pay attention to the top headlines or the catchy phrases of news sources that lean heavily to the right or to the left. What should the United States do about North Korea? Fire and fury. What does the new tax plan entail? Cutting taxes for the wealthy. When we only pay attention to these small details rather than the full context of situations, it's simply impossible to effectively communicate with others. And instead, all we do is spark malicious arguments and destroy friendships. Too often in our society today, ironically, while we have so many ways to connect with others, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, instead we shrink down into our own personal opinion bubbles. In conclusion, paying attention to the wider context of all situations is beneficial to all concerned. It allows us to understand the world around us more effectively. It allows us to communicate with those around us more effectively. It brings us together rather than pulls us apart. It unites us rather than polarizes us. And with that, it leaves room for compromise and, most importantly, progress. So what do? How do we change this issue? Well, it begins within each and every one of us. Maybe next time, instead of just reading the CNN or Fox News article about that new bill that you hate, spend some time to research a wide range of sources to formulate a more accurate opinion. Maybe next time, instead of unfriending that one guy on Facebook that you never agree with, spend some time to understand his opinion, to understand the merits on both ends. And maybe that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to learn how to cuss in every single language of the world. Trust me, the ones in English seem quite sufficient. But now is the time for us to change. Now is the time for us to progress. And now is the time for us to focus in on the bigger picture. Thank you. My name's Maria Zhao. I am a senior at Hudson High School. I spend a lot of my time doing music. I play up in the Cleveland Orchestra Youth Orchestra in Severance Hall. I also work right here in the main dining room of Laura Lake as a server. Leave me some good comment cards. And as a senior, I am looking at colleges. I'm hoping to major in chemistry, and I hope to attend the University of Chicago, but Case Western is also a great contender. Thank you.
It's all forward.
Robin, hold on one. We can live down to, you know.
She's ready to go whenever you get her gal back.
We're all set, sorry.
First word out is gonna be
What's in the name that which we name a rose by any other name would smell as sweet? So, should I introduce myself right now or not? Okay, let's think for a moment. How would you introduce yourself? Would I say, "Hi, my name is Rabab, I'm a girl"? Or would somebody else, say Zach, would say, "Hi, my name is Zach, I'm a boy"? I don't think anybody introduces themselves by their gender. Then have you ever wondered, if we don't introduce ourselves with our gender, why are we still identified and distinguished on its basis? A few days back, I was conflicted. What should my speech incorporate? Should it be about women empowerment, gender equality? Prompted to look at the words more literally, I did what every person in the 21st century does. I Googled it. Typed, define woman. The results startled me when the search engine enlightened me that the word woman had been derived from an old English word, vifman, meaning wife of a man. If that is what a woman meant, does that me, or any of you sitting right here, have an identity that is dependent and fulfilled by her relationship with a man? The Rotary forward test asks us, is it the truth? Is it true that even after being in the 21st century and being so progressive in every field of development, a woman's status is still dependent on that of a man's? Yes, it is. Consider me a girl, a woman, a female, whoever you would like, but it is true. And I'm not ashamed to accept that even my grandparents were not happy when they got to know that my mother was pregnant with a girl. They were expecting a boy. It is what it is. I acknowledge the fact that there has been progress made, but the question right here is, why are we still waiting for more progress to be made, and for how long? 1/3 of the women in the developing countries get married before the age of 18. 1 out of 9 before the age of 15. Women in almost every profession earn less than men. Male CEOs and males in other high positions earn about $455 more than women in the same position on a weekly basis. Do your math. Multiply 455 with 52. That's about $23,000 annually. I consider this a big difference. The Rotary forward test then asks us, is it fair to all concerned? Do you think this is fair?
looking at men and women with their economic and social status, is this fair? Consider the laws of physics, which we almost all of us were taught. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. If you discriminate with women, you're discriminating with men at the same time. There are so many men out there who want to do domestic work, pursue cooking, or just want to do housekeeping. And there are women out there who want to hold offices, get more financial decisions in their hands. But this reality is not easily perceivable. Why? Because of our distinctions of age, role, and race? These statistics, the slopes, get even steeper if we add race to it. Do you think this is fair? Our roles are predefined. From when? When we were little. Girls' rooms are always decorated with pinks and soft toys. Boys, blue, cars, guns. Thus making girls as the idealized caretakers, whereas boys as the instrument of change and development. This is how we define two different genders. Forget the small change. Think about it globally. How does it affect us? The percentage of women in national parliamentaries is about 22.8%. And as that of June 2016, what we consider an increase from the 11.3% from 1995. I consider the fact that we have almost doubled the rates, but in how many years? 20 years? And we women form about 49.6% of the world population. That is about half of it. And our representation is what? 22.8%. The Rotary forward test then asks us, will it build goodwill and better friendships? A 60-year-old transgender woman was forced to strip herself and was beaten in the hallway of a hospital by a doctor when she approached him for medical help. This is not a story I've just concocted. This is a story that happened last year and in the United States. If you don't feel grief-stricken right now, then maybe you're right. But if you felt that minuscule of a pain, then you realize that defining men and women can sometimes impair them from even using their basic to basic rights. The Rotary Forward test then asks us, is it beneficial to all concerned? Who are these concerned? Men and women, girls and boys, each and every one of you, each and every person who has to hide their original traits. Just because of what? What would other people think? When I am telling you, how does it even matter? How does it matter if you paint your personality with all the expectant traits, be it a soft, polite female or a muscular, non-crying male? You are still what you are under that decorative shell. Hence, I would like to quote, culture does not make people. People make culture. So if the full humanity of a female is not our culture, then we can and we must make it our culture. Thank you. So, hello, I am Rabab Tingra. I am from Western Reserve Academy and I'm a junior. I love science a lot and I like making art that has meaning to it. And I haven't yet decided what I'll do because I'm currently confused between science and art and speaking. So, that's all. Thank you.
But you didn't expect this.
That I did not.
You put a wild set of speakers.
Did you hear these speeches beforehand?
I did not, but I think some of the people on the committee did.
Mm-hmm. So only those two tables get to vote?
Yeah. Yeah, so they, They had a contest at the high school a couple nights ago, I think. And they, yeah, it was not reserved, but these are the ones who came up.
It's funny, I was actually going to enter. My choir contest was the same day.
So you got to see the fellas they were talking about. So I'm thinking it would be good if Ryan, started out each day with a song.
I would love that. I would love that. But he would have to. He really got into it. That was awesome.
Is he? Like I said, I think he's like 90. You would.
No, I had no idea. Yeah, you should start every meeting with a video of him.
The halls are dark, the lights flicker, and there's no one in sight. I turn left, then right, then back again, spinning in circles to get myself oriented in this labyrinth of corridors at the Seoul International Airport. I was 12 years old at the time. Supposedly, my flight attendant was to guide me safely from the plane to the exiting gate, but she had quite literally ditched me and left me alone to figure out these complex signs in Korean by myself in the middle of the night. I pondered for a good 3 hours whether or not the signs meant baggage claim or customs while wandering around trying to find my way. At that very moment, I lacked a chaperone and a functioning phone, but most of all, I lacked the ability to fully understand the language of the country that I was visiting. Traveling outside America, especially alone, can be quite the challenge. As the person is thrown into a completely new environment, it's easy to get discombobulated and overwhelmed by the new lifestyle that immediately envelops anyone who sets foot on the nation's soil. Too many students, blinded by fear, are holding themselves back from reaching their full potential by choosing not to go abroad and step outside of their comfort zone. Some fail to consider the benefits of full immersion in another language and culture that can be gained by participating in an exchange program. Programs such as these help young learners to grow and develop in all facets of life and challenge them to keep an open mind and try new things. First, is it the truth? Undoubtedly, learning languages has been associated with high levels of achievement and success. As the student is thrown into a completely new environment, it is necessary for them to enhance their own abilities as well as academic abilities. It has been scientifically proven that immersion outside the classroom actually enhances their ability to learn a language at an advanced level with relative ease. As important as school may be, the effects of multilingual fluency extend far beyond just the schooling years. Countless accomplished adults require these skills for their careers, namely in international relations, economics, politics, business, and healthcare. However, regardless of the student's future job, it can always come in handy to know how to get around for future vacations and trips abroad. Language and communication are clearly some of the key factors that allow for the worldwide connections that govern our modern society today. Is this fair to all concerned? Participating in an exchange program is completely voluntary, not mandatory. These programs are in no way imposed upon the kids. The students choose whether or not to participate in this program and dedicate their time to the subject. It is meant to be a fun extracurricular activity for passionate students, students who are voracious learners and have that flame of curiosity burning within them. For those who do decide to partake in this endeavor, the program is equally fair for both the American and foreign exchange student. Both spend a certain allotted amount of time at each other's houses, learning their partner's daily routine as a new member of the family. As they spend the days together, they learn all these new things and share all the love and fun as if they were true siblings, like a seesaw in continuous motion as one gives and the other returns. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Increasing awareness of other countries helps promote international peace and harmony. Bridging countries together breaks down the walls of ethnocentrism and isolationism. Instead, we can build tolerance and rapport. By living in another country, you can better understand the history, culture, beliefs, and values that intertwine all of these people together. And with this understanding comes empathy and compassion, which sparks a desire to help the less fortunate or aid those in need. No one said you have to be native to create change. By living in another country, you can also create future chances to participate in academic and philanthropic projects, mission trips, jobs, and the like. Not only can students collaborate on the societal level, but they can also build themselves up individually by making friends that become their second family. As a student myself who lived in Germany for a month with the host family, I cannot even begin to explain the friendships that I made that will last me a lifetime. It is simply fascinating to see all the possibilities that are available when one is able to interconnect with another, using the power of language as a common bond. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Living in this fast-paced world full of modern technology and media makes it even more essential for one to become a well-informed and competent citizen, which not only involves possessing basic knowledge about one's own country, but about other nations as well. One can gain numerous perspectives while living abroad, and can gain a rather unique point of view that one wouldn't be able to obtain otherwise. Moreover, self-sufficiency and independence are thoroughly cultivated. When no one else is there as a guide or a babysitter, it is necessary for the students to make the right decisions and be proactive. Not only do exchange programs strongly encourage this type of responsibility, but they also fortify a student's academic abilities. Language learning improves memory and cognitive skills, while the various communication interactions spur critical thinking and creativity. Besides academics, the students can take advantage of this experience by enjoying the popular entertainment originating from the country. Whether that's picking up a book in Spanish or watching a movie in French, there's an endless number of pastimes that they can take pleasure in. Innumerable exhilarating moments such as these will be the memories that will be carved permanently into their minds, memories that they will keep with them wherever they go. Many might conclude that it's just not worth it. Spending time across the ocean, somewhere different and new and exciting, it's just not worth it. But going through all that trouble and pain, it is worth it. Spending time somewhere outside of your comfort bubble, it is worth it. For students, traveling abroad to another country with a different language is a notoriously daunting task. However, language barrier is just another mountain to climb in order to reach the summit. Despite the steep uphill ascent, the mountain can seem to be merely a small hill after looking back at the path less traveled. So take a step outside of your little bubble. Dare to seek an adventure beyond boundaries to gain knowledge and friendships and connections. Listen to those voices whispering in your ear, voices of different tones and dialects, accents and articulations. The future, your future, lies somewhere beyond the vast oceans all across the globe. So take that opportunity, because it only takes one ripple to change the tide. My name is Subi Simmons, and I am a sophomore at Hudson High School. I love to run cross country and track, and in my free time, I play piano and I like to read. I'm not sure what I want to do and like my career in the future, but I love science, so that's my favorite subject. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Very acceptable.
Was it imagined that my turn? Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely not.
Okay.
A couple times I went closer to the speaker.
Oh, sorry.
So we're going to leave the room and hopefully within 10 minutes, come back with a winner. I'm glad I'm not a judge today. So let's go back over here and finish and
I have one word, wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine at that age getting up in front of a group you don't know and talking the way you do? It's just wow. I'm excited to see the winner. I'm glad I'm not a judge. What I wanted to do now is maybe while they're going to go do their calculations and their decisions is maybe have a little tribute to Dick. Pearsall, and I'll start it. As you notice, I was very emotional when I saw him on the screen. I sat next to Dick almost every day, every Wednesday. He would just save my seat. He was a sweetheart. There's several memories, but one that stands out is when he got his first smartphone. He was so excited. What was he, 94? Is he 94? He just passed this week for those that are deaf. It was probably 2 years ago he got his first smartphone. Through the whole meeting, he kept showing me things on the smartphone. He kept showing me videos. I'm trying to listen to the speaker and trying to pay attention a little bit. But he'd laugh, and he was in his own world. It was a discovery, and it was so exciting for him. But that's how he looked at life. He tried things. Most people that age wouldn't even get a smartphone or, to try that. But he did, and he was excited about it. That way he approached life in all areas. I will miss him. I really will. I'm glad he's part of it. Does anyone else want to speak? Do you want to stay there or come up here?
I'll come up.
Up here, then we don't have to worry about it. If anyone would like. I just think it's a good way to deal with it, to say how much we love him.
Thank you, Catherine. I took a little liberty after Doug had so kindly kept us all informed of Dick's health and scheduling drivers and all that sort of thing. He then was the one who informed all of us of Dick's passing. And one by one, over email, various Rotarians were paying a little tribute to Dick for all of us to enjoy. So the liberty that I took every one of those comments, put them in bullet format without identifying who the author was of the comments, and sent those all to both Lee and to David, because I thought it would be very, I can't talk, meaningful to them. So the one underlying thought from all of those comments was how many times people described him as a gentleman over and over again. And that's what he was to me as well. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Dick was a band director in his career, right? What did he do?
No,
Does
his
anybody know
father.
what he did in his career?
His father was.
His father was?
Yeah, that's where the musical
Okay.
came from.
Because for those of you who saw the video, there was times that he would have us go real low and he'd get real down and then bring it back up, end it really good, and you could not finish one of his songs, him leading you in song, without a smile on your face and just feeling good to get started for the week, for the day. I think Tom.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a little foggy on this, and I apologize, but I mean, one thing I remember about Dick was that it was what he did to help. Yeah, maybe somebody can remember this better than I can. He would go to the hospitals to help people who had heart surgery, right?
Yeah, it was heart surgery.
And when I heard about that the first time, he must have been in his 90s at that time. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. This guy will go down there, and especially a guy like Dick, who could make friends with anybody in a minute or so and get them, make them feel good. And as he often did with probably all of us. I just thought that was a really inspiring sort of thing that Dick would give of himself. Even at that age in life, I mean, I don't mean to, but that's when a lot of people have retreated from, and Dick was never a retreater. He was always pressing on to help other people, so. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
You want it?
James. Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna,
No.
on a lighter note.
I'm gonna.
Okay. Couple of things. One is, if you want to see past Rotary and Dick singing and all that sort of thing, on the Hudson Cable Television website it has meanings going back a few years. And no, they're not all just videos, that's the intro video. But when you click on that, you could see speakers, but it was really neat as I was getting a little emotional, going through lots of different meetings to try and pick one of them for to show Dick singing, and I think the When You're Smiling seemed to be the perfect one for him. So in terms of a memory, I just got to say, you know, it was very obviously super enjoyable. He had the idea of putting the lyrics up. I said, well, you know, Dick, you ought to look at the lyrics too. And he would come up with songs I had never heard of, but I'd search the internet and get the words up there. And so that was a tremendous amount of fun. I'd see him at Sumo working out, and I'd say, Dick, you know, you're lifting more weight than I do here. So, so he was just talking about someone full of energy and life. And the other piece about it is all our volunteers who have come in from, and you can probably confirm this too, whenever they saw Dick, they just, that started their day off very well. Yeah. And, you know, so the fact that he could reach out to people of all ages was really very typical of Dick Pearsall. And in fact, we're thinking, you can tell Phil that we want Ryan Welch to start each day with a song. So, right? You agree with that?
I heard him sing now.
Maybe Catherine. Okay, so anyone else?
Oh, I just want to say on a lighter note, and our guests won't understand this at all, but Dick was one of the founders of the Bad Boy Table.
And I was welcome to that Bad Boy Table. I got it. You can't tell our listeners that we really love it.
It was a very painful experience to get out and visit Dick in a couple of different hospitals and a couple of different rehabs. But what also I noticed was the terrific community response. Dick and Lee had so many friends dedicated to them that rose to the occasion and hopefully will continue to offer soothing friendship to Lee here at Laurel Lake. It was really a mark of what Hudson can be and the support it can offer. I admired it. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anyone else?
Yeah.
Doug, we thank you for all your organization and transportation and getting everyone together.
On a lighter note, one of the scariest things I ever had in recent years was joining Dick with Meals on Wheels. Now, Dick was the driver. And we had a route in Stowe, and there was about 6 or 7, and I think we did it once a month or twice a month. And Dick certainly didn't slow his talking down when he was driving. And we always had the same route, and I think I always heard similar stories. I can show you exactly where he and Kay built their first house in Silver Lake, because we passed it every time, and I heard the same story, and I never got to the point that I would want to say, Dick, you know.
Was it on the route?
Yeah, well, it ended up on the route. That was just an experience. But again, you know, the guy was 90-some years old, and he's driving Meals on Wheels, okay? The other thing I was thinking about Dick, and this, I was really thinking how lucky this guy was. I don't know if anybody in this room had a chance to know Kay, Dick's first wife, who, you know, here's a guy that, you know, all of us are happy to have our wives for a long time. And Dick had 2 great ladies. And I was just saying to my wife, you know, What's he going to do up there when Lee shows up? Just think of that.
Since we're waiting for the results, I thought maybe I'd go ahead and we can draw the winning ticket for the The payout is $11 and the jackpot is $205.
Money goes to our
Yell out the last one. Okay. The last four numbers are 5517.
Let's see, was I close?
5517. No one has it, I'll look at mine. Nope. Maybe one of the judges. Or someone who left.
Is it too late for me to get my mailing? It's all that greeting and talking.
He's also on the Hudson School Board and a graduate of Hudson. Oh, really? Just to show you how far we've come.
I see.
What's that? Yeah, that's his dad's spelling.
Odds are good since no one else has it.
Yeah.
She would put hers away. She was afraid I would trade. I think that's what it was.
She's looking.
5517?
Yes.
Hey!
That's a reward for being a judge.
Come on, Lynn. Big money, big money.
So there's one black marble in here. If she gets it, then she gets the jackpot. If not, it just builds up everything.
Oh, that's a shame.
I honestly thought that was going to speed the process up. I didn't think it would stop the judges. Does anyone else want to say anything about Dick? I could go on with stories, but some of them are unique. Like he told me his wife was a cougar. The first time I met him, and I tell the story all the time because it's so cute. Because I'm thinking, you're 89 years old. At what point do we stop using cougar? And he always, the one thing about Dick that I can remember sitting beside him is he always asked me how I was. Sometimes people will, not think to ask you. You start talking to him about other things. And Dick would always ask me, how's the school? How's it going? Do you still like, he always talked to me. So he was very, very caring. Anyone else? I could do the
Actually,
drum roll.
this is not on Dick, but I can do an announcement about it. This is not related to leadership subject. So, obviously with the currents down in Florida, there's been a lot of concern about school safety. And so I was just going to turn it up.
Yeah, I can hear it better now.
Oh, it's me. Okay, I'll speak more clearly. So anyway, next Wednesday, which I believe 14th, at 7 p.m. at the High School Media Center, there will be a community meeting to talk about safety measures that are being taken at Hudson. But a similar meeting occurred 6 years ago after the Sandy Hook shootings. But just to let everyone know, it's not just Hudson, but Hudson works with West Reserve Academy, Seton, and the other schools in the area.
It's not just
In the city, the city and the safety forces, the city council. So it's really a community effort. And so Phil Herman will talk about what's being done, but it's also a forum that people can express their concerns or ask their questions. So that's next Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the High School Media Center. Next Wednesday. Thanks.
Yeah, I could do other announcements from the school, if that would help. That is a panel of speakers, it's not just Mr. Herman. It also has the police chief, there's counselors, there's a high school principal, an elementary principal talking about what they're doing. We also are having meetings with the staff and to talk about what we're doing right, what they think we need to do more of. They're going to talk to students, groups, and talk to them about what we can do to help make it more safe, but also what to make them feel more safe. So I think they're done.
Is there smoke coming from the gym?
Well, they're up
Jim, Mike just stood up.
That's good. Does anyone else have any announcements they'd like to share? Any good news? After the whole thing with Dick, I feel like we need a little bit of good news.
Yeah, we'll have one.
Yes.
Just one,
You notice the two board members are the ones that keep talking.
well, one bit of good news is that Catherine Sines has graciously agreed to extend her tenure, or whatever the term is, as treasurer of the Hudson School Systems by an additional year, which is very grateful for.
I heard it was
I
a 3-year.
postponed my retirement.
She was just, as background, she was planning to retire this
In August.
August, and it, with all the things that we have going with the schools, making, building new buildings and everything like that, and the business manager, Derek Cluse, taking a position with the City of Cleveland School District, it was putting a lot of pressure on the organization, and Catherine volunteered to delay her
There
retirement
was
by
a few
1 year.
administrators that twisted my arm, but yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Ingram?
Yep. You want to help me?
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Gladly.
Sorry, I wish I could have heard whatever we said about Dick. Oh, I can. That's fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
First of all, I want to, before I announce who won, who placed where, I want to thank, first of all, judges. Thank you for doing what you did. Appreciate it. Judges, and I thank you very much. Todd, if you would stand up, I want to thank you for organizing everything at Western Reserve Academy. Todd Gilbert, he's head of the English department at Western Reserve Academy.
Oh, wonderful.
And parents, thank you very much for supporting your great kids. Great job. Great job. We have 4. Again, I'm glad I wasn't a judge. This is interesting because it was as close as I've ever seen it, as you can imagine. We have to figure out some criteria, but no, criteria is fine. So I'd ask the 4 contestants, please come up in front. And remember, first of all, there was about 20, or a little over 20 students who participated in the first place out of all their schools. So all those 20, want to thank them for all participating. These are the best of the best from that group, so that's why the judging is pretty tough. So in 4th place, Olivia Robbins. Congratulations. Stay up here, would you? Very brave talk, wouldn't you agree? Very brave talk. 3rd, Subi Simmons. And the next 2 were really, really close. And so 2nd place, very close, Rabab Singra. Congratulations. Maria, and if for some reason something happens you can't make it, we'll be calling on you a second to participate. She'll be going on April 7th to districts and compete, and it's about 50 to 60 contestants. And I will disclose this now. Maria went there last year and got in the top 5. So congratulations. So we have a worthy representative from both Rotary clubs, actually. This is an endeavor from both Rotary clubs. So again, thank you. Wonderful job. Great job. You should feel great about what you do.
Yeah.
I know, can I close
Close
the
the meeting,
meeting
we'll
first?
take
Okay, only because we're
Stay there
behind.
for a second.
Okay, remember, sometimes the questions are complicated, but the answers are simple. Dr. Seuss. Thank you for coming and enjoy the week.